Jim Keltner came to us. We were still in Venice at the time, and he had just done the concert for Bangladesh.
Yes.
And
George Harrison.
And they, it was a benefit. So you don't pay real dollars for all this talent, but it was a great effort, and it was beautiful, big. So Jim pulls up in this Mercedes.
He's visiting us because we needed to borrow money. He was coming down to check out.
He didn't know it, but
that was what I was asking him when he showed up.
Yeah. So it's like, hey, how's the weather? What's going on? And do you have any cash? Anyway.
I wasn't quite that forward.
Well, I know. We only have like this much.
And he did lend us money, by the way.
He did. And
we did pay him back, so go ahead.
But Don's looking at me, and I really didn't know Jim that well. And your eyes kept going to outside, like, what?
Yeah, Jim didn't want to walk in, only because he had the new car.
Well, I go outside, and there's these kids bouncing a ball off the side of our wall, and it's bouncing off the hood of this brand new Mercedes, and I had to go out there and go, stop it, please. And oh my God. And he had ooh-ee on the license plate.
That's always been his license plate.
And you know what? I fell in love with the guy, as you have as well. And he's probably become one of our dearest friends.
No question. And the double pedal, along with Chad Wackerman, whose drum tech had a version of a double pedal that didn't work well. We improved that. There was a couple other versions of double pedals, but this was our first entree into actually making a double pedal. This was the first ad we did. Drum history just took 2 steps forward. Pretty clever there. Not bad, huh?
Not bad.
Not bad.
Wish we had done that.
And what made me understand the importance of it was there was double bass drum players in the 70s. I mean, double bass was really popular. Obviously, there's a huge advantage to not having to buy a separate bass drum if you're a young drummer. You don't have the money to do it, but you still want to have the double pedal feel.
Especially if you're carrying it.
So yeah, exactly. So I was at a place where I saw Jim Keltner play in a studio or went over to his house, but he had the Zelmer Twin, which was a version of a double pedal that didn't work, that worked with a spring. And I just said, why are you using that? Because the primary pedal just feels awful. He says, well, I rarely use it, but sometimes I want to get something where I just have to use 2 pedals, not even for speed, but I just like the sound of having 2 different sounds or having 2 beaters hit drums at the same time where I can muffle it with one and not with the other. So artists brought to us a lot of ideas of things. As soon as I saw that, I just said to myself, Jim, I got to make you a pedal that works. I mean, this is just like, there was no big marketing decision. There was no big meeting. There was no survey. Hey, the world could use, if you could make 4 of these, you could do. It's just like, for my dear friend, I needed to come up with something that would work better than what he had. And working on it, just the more I showed it to more people, the more the idea came through my mind. Hey, if it works, it'll work for anybody. So, and he came up with the perfect ad for it.
But you wait. You had to ask him.
For months, yeah.
For months, and he says, "No, I'm working on it, Don." Don says, "But it's going to print."
Yeah, back in those days in Modern Drummer, you had to mail it in 3 or 4 months in advance.
And so he would hear nothing, and he'd go, Jim. He goes, no, I've almost got it.
So I'm calling Jim because he's got the new pedal. I said, I need a quote. I want this ad. My idea was we had the pedal, a quote from Jim Keltner about this pedal. I know he really likes it, and he would say, I'll get back to you, because he wanted it to be something good or something. So finally, you're right. I call him back and I say, this is it, and I've got to get it in the paper today. He says, I'll call you back in 5 minutes, I promise. So great. So got the pen. Okay, Jim. You have 2 hands. Okay. You have 2 feet.
That was it.
That was the quote, and it couldn't be better.
It was perfect.
Why do you need a double pedal? Because
Yeah.
you got 2 hands to play drums, and you got 2 feet. You're going to need to play a double pedal. But the simplicity of the way things grew is just
Our
a huge.
lives were not that complicated then.
No, and it wasn't that we were thinking of, again, building a huge company. It's just every day there was new challenges. You would think at the end of the year when we'd go to the NAMM show, which would be the January pivotal time, what are you going to come out with new? That we would exhaust new things for the next year, but we never even came close. 50 years later, I've got things in my office that we're not going to have ready for the end of this year that they're just backed up because we have other new things that we're working on. It's there's an endless resource of not only ideas that come from the community, but as the world changes and music changes, it needs new inventions.
Yeah, and you were incredible at fulfilling that need, the ideas and stuff. I basically had to make it happen.
Right.
And so through that period of time, you wind up with some incredible relationships, and I had them, you had them, we had them, and I never thought for a minute that it mattered more than just getting through the next day. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And there were such big challenges, and we had not a lot of expendable cash to do this.
We hit the wall at the first 5 years. I mean, for the first until the 80s, really, when we started manufacturing, for the first 3 years, I didn't take any check at all. I was still working as a working drummer until 1981. Then when we moved from Gardena up to Newbury Park, because we were starting to sell, we had, I think, 8 employees at that point. We were starting to sell pedals, and I'd come out with, if you have a double pedal on the left-hand side, the 3 legs on the hi-hat get in the way. So we got a patent on a 2-legged hi-hat. Then we had the remote hi-hat. Took us 3 years to come up with a cable that actually worked. I wasn't going to put it out if it didn't feel close to a regular hi-hat.